Hi, this is Charlene Burke with Grow Because You Know. That's www.growbecauseyouknow.com. Welcome to Morning Mindset Cafe, where today we are discussing success through a positive mental attitude. While the live stream has access to a PDF, I actually have a hardcover copy printed in 1969. This is written by Napoleon Hill and W. Clement Stone. Today in particular, we are on chapter 2 at the very beginning, and we're going to do a quick review of the 17 success principles as written in this book. I know, you're going to get confused, aren't you? Think and Grow Rich has 13 principles. Law of Success has 16 principles. PMA has 17 principles. And when we boil it all down, does it really matter the number? I don't think so. I don't think it matters at all. What matters is that we know that there are success principles and that some we simply are not applying. We need to recognize those we do have a handle on and have an understanding and are committed to and are working, as well as learning which ones need a little more of my attention, which ones should be put into my day. All right, so it's interesting that chapter 2 is actually titled, You Can Change Your World. All right, so we know that PMA is positive mental attitude, and we know that PMA, positive mental attitude, is one of the 17 success principles, hence 17, right? See, it's not in the original 16 from Law of Success. So, positive mental attitude, when you begin to apply a combination of these principles with positive mental attitude in your chosen occupation or to a solution of your personal problems, you are on the road to success. You're on the right track, headed in the right direction towards getting what you want. Getting to the solution you had been looking for, achieving the ultimate goal that you had set forth. To achieve anything worthwhile in life, it is imperative that you apply positive mental attitude, regardless of what other success principles you employ. Positive mental attitude is the catalyst which makes any combination of success principles work to attain a worthwhile end. It is negative mental attitude combined with some of the same principles. That's the catalyst which results in crime or evil, grief, disaster, tragedy, sin, disease, death. Yeah, those are some of the rewards of negative mental attitude combined with these success principles. Where are you stuck? Is it that simple that you're stuck at negative mental attitude? You've been struggling with the principles I'm about to outline for you. And as you hear them, if you're saying to yourself, I do that every day and I'm not getting anything, that's indicative of a negative mental attitude. I know this because I've had this. It's my experience, and that's from which I speak of right now. And I'm really glad to be able to tell you that now I have positive mental attitude and I'm able to see what a negative mental attitude can do to a person when trying to apply these principles, try to put them to use with an attitude that, well, they probably won't work. Works for everybody else, but doesn't work for me. Yeah. All right, so the 17 principles are, the first one being, because it is the title of the book, right, is a positive mental attitude. Number 2, definiteness of purpose. I'm going to run out of fingers, aren't I? Okay. Sorry. Positive mental attitude. Definiteness of purpose, going the extra mile, accurate thinking, self-discipline, the mastermind, applied faith, a pleasing personality, personal initiative, enthusiasm, controlled attention, teamwork, learning from defeat, creative vision, budgeting time and money, maintaining sound physical and mental health, using cosmic habit force, parentheses, universal law. We're reminded that these 17 principles are not the creation of the authors. They're not just coming out of Napoleon Hill's head or W. Clement Stone. They're not setting down that these are the principles. It's not their creation. They were extracted from lifetime experiences of hundreds. And now, in today's world, thousands. Thousands of the most successful people our nation has known during the past century. So you had hundreds of people that were interviewed, watched, talked to, observed, interacted with, conversed with. And these 17 principles were extracted as the common thread through all of them in their successes. So since 1969, or since 1937, when Think and Grow Rich was first published, or since 1920, could be the right year, 1927, Law of Success was first published, thousands of people have put these principles in their lives and have achieved the success they want. Now, as long as you live, from this day forward, you can analyze your every success and every failure if you imprint these 17 principles indelibly in your memory. That's why I am able to sit here right now and tell you, looking back, while I was learning these principles as they're written here, seeing where I had applied them in my early years, and got into a mode that I wasn't applying them, though I knew about them, and I got into a negative mental attitude and survival mode, right? Got stuck in that when it wasn't necessary. I'd been in it too long. Trying to apply these principles with that negative mental attitude, I can see clearly why there were so many more stumbling blocks, so many more brick walls, so many more broken tracks. Right? I can see that now because I have that positive mental attitude and I'm very aware of what these principles are, and I can look back and say, well, okay, yeah, there's some minutia and details related to each failure, each stumbling block, but I'm quite confident that they would not have been there had I not had the negative mental attitude. It is emphasized in this book. I'm on page 18 if you've got the book. There is no other known method by which you may keep your mind positive. There is no other known method. You have these 17 principles. You may develop and maintain a permanent positive mental attitude by making it your responsibility to adopt and apply these 17 principles in your daily living, and that's my takeaway. That's it. I think that's an excellent takeaway and challenge. Do you really want a positive mental attitude? Say yes. You can develop and maintain a permanent positive mental attitude by making it your responsibility. It's not mine. It's not Christopher's. Good morning, Christopher. It's not Cindy's. It's not Christian's to do it for me or to make sure I do it right. It's not my responsibility to make sure you do it. Good morning, Betsy. It's not your responsibility to make sure Christian does it right. No, it's my responsibility to make sure that I adopt and apply these 17 principles in my daily living. And I can tell you that I see gaps, that when I read the 17 principles, I immediately said, ooh, to maintaining sound physical and mental health. And I did the, ooh, could be better, because personally, I could be in better physical condition. And it is something that I've been aware of these past few months, and I'm starting to implement some changes. I've not been very well disciplined on that, though. And that's what I'm noticing is that, I stopped there. So, there's a gap. There's a gap. Now, does that mean, right? Does this mean that my entire day in life is shot because I identified one principle I'm not fully committed to and putting into my daily life? Well, negative mental attitude says it is, because negative mental attitude says that I'm willing to use that as an excuse, right? And I don't do that. My positive mental attitude says, okay, I've just identified that I'm lacking. I don't have the discipline that is needed to get physically fit. So it's something that I will be taking a look at, and I have been taking a look at. It's personal. I'm struggling. I'll get over it. I have faith I'll get over it because I have these principles to help me get over it. Plus I have people that are close to me that are helping. So I'm good with that. Pretty much everything else, though, I feel, well, all right. So another one that might be a little is personal initiative, because that kind of ties to that discipline effort that I'm having difficulty with. And yet it doesn't seem to apply to anything else. Doesn't seem to apply. Meaning that I have the priorities of what comes first through the day. I know what needs to be done for me personally and for my business. And I know, and I'm able to see clearly that which is going to get in the way. So I can say no to things and I can say yes to things. And I know the priorities, in general, just overall, well, not even general, here's my priorities: faith, family, that's first. Faith, family, my well-being is tied to those two. And then next is business. And within business is the first priority is the structure of the business is maintained, revenue generating activity, working with customers, working with team members or other projects that are not revenue generating at the moment, and then down the list. That's my priorities. All right. Now, having said all that, I want to know if anything I've said to this point has struck anybody. I'd love to know what your thoughts are at this point. What you thinking? I know it's early. Is anybody thinking? So we are being reminded in the book to analyze ourselves now. And it's actually stated in here, courageously, because it can be tough to take a look at yourself, can't it? Well, good morning, Aaron. How are you?
Good morning, Charlene. I'm up early today.
You are. It's good to see you.
Yeah, I got to bed early last night. I was like, do I stay up and watch TV or should I go to bed and try and get up at 5? And so I did.
And? Yeah.
I just went to bed. I turned off the movie and said, no, sleep. But yeah, that's one of those things where, like you're saying, with a couple of the areas that you're noticing you were lacking, sometimes it's just a matter of doing little tiny bits. A friend of mine was telling me he used a little simple technique where basically you just commit to yourself, I just get 5 minutes in, right? I just get 5 minutes, whether, it's your business, something you don't want to do, or working on your health, like you're saying, or spending time with, your kids doing homework, something you don't want to do. Just convince yourself, I can do 5 minutes a day. And then what happens is you get involved, you start doing what you're doing. 5 minutes goes by, I have another 5 minutes, 10 minutes. But as long as you're just committing to yourself, I'm going to do 5 minutes every day, get up and, stretches, jumping jacks, whatever. Like all these other principles, you start forming a habit. You start saying, okay, I'm going to do this 5 minutes. Next thing you know, 30 days have gone by. Your 5 minutes has turned to 20 minutes or an hour. And, you don't think twice about doing it. It becomes comfortable, after that uncomfortable period, starts becoming comfortable, and it starts becoming second nature. I know that a lot of the success principles kind of work the same way. You look at them and you go, oh, how can I have a positive mental attitude? My life's crumbling around me or whatever. But then you just, you consciously make the decision, okay, I'm going to give it a try for a few minutes. I'm going to give it a try for a few minutes every day. and every day goes by, and then 5 minutes turns to 10 minutes, turns to 20 minutes. And next thing you know, you're not scared of it anymore. You're not uncomfortable doing it anymore. You're confident about it. You know, confidence in public speaking was one of the big things that I've been working on the last 6 months. If you look back 6 months, you'll notice stuttering, pauses, kind of not really getting the flow going. And I decided, I'm going to jump on Charlene's blab, jump on some other people's blabs, and just get on as a guest, 5 minutes of talking. And oh gosh, those first times I was shaking and sweating or whatnot. Not really, but after a week went by, I was less uncomfortable. It was kind of, I was still uncomfortable. I was still nervous, but I kept doing it. 5 minutes, 10 minutes at a time. After a month went by, I did a couple blabs, 20 minutes. Now me and Kristen have done 1 hour long blabs that I think have flowed pretty good. I've, had audience members say, this is really good stuff. I like what you guys are saying. I like how you guys are bringing it to the modern context and using modern language and modern examples. And I'm comfortable. I can get up at 5 o'clock in the morning now and jump on with Charlene, who's well-known public speaker and blabber. And I think I do okay now.
Yes, you do terrific. Because I saw you in the beginning.
Yes, you were one of the first people I got the nerve up to come on board and discuss some things. And
and it wasn't that as bad as you say it was.
It was all inside. And I think a lot of the success principle stuff, if you just looked at somebody, you're not going to be able to tell somebody walking down the street. I mean, you can kind of tell if they have a smile, they have a positive mental attitude, but you can't tell if they're going to be exercising the principles of confidence or even know about it or understand it or focused effort. And, you can't tell. That's all internal. It's all in mental. It's all in your brain that you're making these decisions. You're doing these observations, these self-inventories saying, maybe I could work on this area. Maybe I could work on having a more pleasing personality or attraction personality. Maybe I can work on these areas.
Well, and two, let me point out that there's great value in having people around you that you trust so that you can go to say, this is what I see as lacking in myself. What do you see? How's that for courageous? Because I've done that. And actually, here's an interesting thing is through my journey from going from survival mode to thrive mode over these past 6 months or so, roughly. I think it's a little longer than that. But anyway, so I have this friend of mine that I have gone to and said, so these are some of the things I'm seeing as lacking. And it's funny you said what you said, Erin, about the outsides, because she just looked at me and said, why do you think that? That is not what I see. Not on all of it, but in some areas where I thought it was still an issue or a gap, Charlene, you've got it. You've got it down. You're doing great. That's not a problem. Now, this other one, I'm not sure of because that's your insides, and I'm not sure if that's really true or not. But if you believe it is, then so be it, right? But some of the things that are evident on the outside, but colored by what I see, because I know myself too well, right? It's helpful to have that observer, that third view, that other person to say, no, that's really not your problem. You're going to waste your energy working on that because it's evidenced by your behavior that you're really okay. It's just you're feeling out of sorts because it's different, or you haven't seen yourself this way, or you're still bringing in some of the baggage that you haven't just let go of or unpacked, as a friend of ours says.
Yeah, it's really interesting because I think you hit right on somewhere where people don't recognize that having outside feedback, having a confidant. A lot of times people talk about coaches and mentors, but a confidant can do the same thing. Someone you trust, someone that you understand where they're coming from, they understand you, and you can say, hey, this is what I noticed. What do you think? And like you're saying, even though you're feeling it, the person you're getting feedback from may not see it, or they may see something that you don't. You may think, oh, I have all this confidence, and they I've noticed that.
No, you're just an arrogant jerk.
Yeah, the arrogance or something, and that can really be painful sometimes. But like Betty stepping out of your Betsy, stepping out of your comfort zone. You really kind of, once you realize it's an uncomfortable thing, like I don't want to do that. That should push you to do it. That should push you to say, oh, I can see this. Let me step out of this comfort zone. Let me try something new. Of course, I'm not going to be, the top dog right when I go in, but that's progress. That's building. I look at these principles sometimes, like you're saying, you go through each one and you might identify some that you need some work, but then you go through them again and you start picking out ones. Oh gosh, these work together. How could I have a leader initiative principle without confidence, without self-control, without enthusiasm? All these things start working together. And what I've noticed is different situations, I'll be able to kind of see, okay, these are kind of the main principles I'm dealing with, but look at how these other principles are overlaying on top of that, are adding to this dynamic, this success dynamic, to where, okay, I may be a leadership type person, but maybe I don't have focus energy. I don't really, I've just kind of been this energetic, bounce all over the guy, great enthusiasm, but haven't been able to lock it down and focus my energy, which I guess I'm kind of talking about myself a bit.
Well, you're talking about definiteness of purpose.
Yeah, definite of purpose.
Knowing exactly where you're going to end up. Because if you don't have that, then you do tend to be like a ping pong ball or, a pinball machine where you're just pinging a lot of different places.
Oh, yeah. And that's kind of where, when I first read the book back in high school, I was like, yeah, so excited and all these principles. And then a few years later, maybe 10 years later, I picked it up and read it again and realized, hey, I've been using these individually, and some of them really complement each other hugely. Some of them, if you don't have, I could just imagine a leader with initiative and no self-confidence, no definite aim. It doesn't work. You kind of need to layer all of them on top of each other.
Well, and that's what was told to us at the very beginning of this chapter, and the beginning of Law of Success, and the beginning of Think and Grow Rich, is that, Napoleon Hill says over 25 years, guess what? This is the common thread over all these hundreds of successful people. This is what they all have in common, are these principles that they live by, that they practice, that they work on, by virtue of practice. And whether one is stronger than the other in each individual, who knows? Chances are good that, because of their humanness, that occasionally they faltered in one or two of those particular principles. But the gist of it is that we've got forward momentum. We got forward momentum, and it's based on these principles and being focused on something. That which we focus on grows. And that self-awareness, right? That to me is a big one. Self-awareness is huge. That's what these are all about, and growing ourselves. What do you think?
I think that's self-awareness can be hard because you have to be honest with yourself. You have to, a lot of times I actually look at back when I was younger and looking at things, and there was nothing wrong with me. When I was 22, I was invincible, perfect, just going to live forever.
Bulletproof.
But, I guess it does take a little bit of conscious effort to go on those soft spots, to touch around those sore spots, to take an honest look at yourself.
It does. Well, the same thing applies to those of us that tended on the other side, and that's where I tended to go. I tended to not see the good in myself. I always tended towards the dark, and that's all I saw. And it being a magnifying glass was put on every fault that I had. for various reasons. And, I know what they are today, and I don't have that today, but that's what I was when I was growing up. So the same thing applies, though, because if you're comfortable with how you see yourself, even if you're saying you don't like yourself, still a comfort zone. It's the familiar. And then sit quietly and have somebody say nice things to you and point out the good things so that you can see them. It's very uncomfortable. And just as uncomfortable as it is today for me to sit when I ask somebody to be honest and point out the faults and the shortcomings.
So you're saying that
just as uncomfortable.
Yeah,
Because it's a real honest look, right? It is and that is the discomfort, especially when it's coming from somebody else's eyes. And one of my favorite phrases, y'all have heard me say this, is to, please just leave me to my delusions, please. Right now, I want to be delusional. I want to see myself wearing that size 4 dress that is sitting in my closet. Because I know I can. I've worn it before, right? And I've looked at it. And so I'm going to imagine myself as that's what I am. Please just go away.
Well, sometimes that's
I'm sorry that you heard me say it, right? Just leave me in my delusion right now. But I say it teasingly because I know that I am wishing I could be different. I'm thinking, I know I'm not quite where I want to be yet. So I'm just going to imagine myself there right now and fake it and have a little fun with it. And I don't want to go deep. I just, just leave me alone, right? But when we're getting the serious stuff, which is I do want to shatter the delusion. I do want to. That's when I'm ready to sit with a trusted soul and say, help me. Help me see help me to determine if I'm seeing myself correctly.
I'm still kind of caught up on. So you're telling me you were more as uncomfortable or more uncomfortable when someone is pointing out the positives, when someone is like,
yeah,
you're good at this, you're good at that.
Oh, it was yeah. My view of myself was horrible. It was horrible until I was probably well into my 20s. It started changing when I was in my early 20s, and it took work to do it. It took conscious effort and seeking out guidance and help.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
the positive mental attitude and chief definite aim, having someone read it back to us. But I didn't really think about it because I was just, as you were talking, kind of thinking, okay, because I could imagine someone with just, so much enthusiasm, but a negative attitude, or someone that really does have a negative attitude that wants to work on it, or someone with such a positive attitude that they don't identify or even acknowledge any negative. So
to an extreme. Yeah, you can see that, and I can see it, but only because I've been on the negative side, so extreme.
And I've been on the positive side where it's like, oh, that was all sunshine,
I get it.
daisies, and you know what? No, the car has bald tires and needs maintenance. Oh, it's okay. And so,
yeah, the woo-woo stuff, like I say, oh, the vacuous smile that all is well no matter what's happening. Oh, look, there's a dead body, but it's really okay because all is well in the world, right?
yeah, I actually have like kind of two friends. One that I know, this is the cynical friend. They're positive attitude, but they're really
that was me.
One of these analytical thinkers that everything is a problem. Everything.
Absolutely.
Laser target in on that problem and really get to the deepest part of that problem. And I have other friends that are like, it doesn't matter what happened. Their car just blew up. They're like, yeah, that I'm gonna see the positive in it. And for me, it's really helped me to, like, if I have a particular situation, something that's really inside, something deep that's hard for me to deal with, to go to both sides, inside myself, but then also outside to some peers, get that positive spin on it and get that negative perspective on it, to really get a deeper self-inventory. I mean, that is at the root of all these success principles.
But it all starts with a willingness, and that truly is the key, It's a willingness to understand that you're going to have to change in order to get where you want. And once you have the willingness, then you can look at what is it going to take. Then you can look at, all right, so we're looking at these success principles. There's somebody I want to emulate. There's somebody I want to be like. Now I'm willing to go have a cup of coffee with them, ask them, how'd you do this? I'm willing to read these books, right? And say, it makes no sense to me. Can somebody please explain this to me? You're willing, right? You have to be willing to do that. Otherwise, any change that happens will be temporary, in my view. But then again, it's my show, so it's always my view and my opinion, right? Disclaimer there. Any forced change, meaning behavioral change, you're forced to change your behavior to appear positive, to appear willing, to appear like a team member and whatever, to fit within the work group for the moment, is still temporary. It's all surface stuff. Yes, it can be done. Of course it can be done, right? We're all still able to work in the world and get by in the world and get along with each other because we have to. So what we're talking about here, though, is real permanent long-term change in order to be the people that I want to be the person I want to be when I achieve that success. Because I want to say one other thing, that these success principles are not required for you to make a lot of money. It is not a requirement that you put these success principles in your life for you to make a lot of money. It is required if you want to be a really fun, nice person who feels like they're living life fully when you make your money. But it's not a requirement to make a lot of money. We all know millionaire jerks. All right, I know millionaire jerks. I know what appear to be on the outside successful people, and when I go to talk to them, they're about as jerky as you can think. And I'm not asking them for anything to be jerky about. You know, I have been rebuffed. I have been ignored. I have been, this is fun for me, actually. I have been belittled. I have been disdained. And normally I just keep my mouth shut because all the while I'm thinking, wow, you have no idea who I know, do you? All you're doing to me is proving that I'm not going to tell you who I know. You will not have access to these people through me. So that's how attitude comes out, right? So you don't have to have that to have a lot of money. I want more. And that's why we're all here together, right? We want more.
Yeah.
That's why I even put out there for those who have dropped by or are listening to the replay, that even if it's just a basic willingness to learn just a little bit more, it's a start. You're already on the path to.
A little bit is huge, Harleen. A little bit is huge.
Mm-hmm. It is in this sense. It is.
Well, it's just an accumulation. I mean, if I do a little bit today and a little bit tomorrow, I mean, just about anything. My weight loss, I dropped over 50 pounds.
I know. We've seen you. We saw the old you. We saw the bigger you.
And it was a little bit. It was just a little bit every day, just a little bit. Mm-hmm. Anything. My piggy bank, I put a little bit of change in it every day. My savings account, I put a little bit. I mean, I'm not taking my whole income.
And that's part of the attitude, though, isn't it? That's part of these success principles, is that we're thinking long term. So when thinking long term, we know and understand exactly what you just shared, that you know and understand, which is, I do a little bit today because it's cumulative. I do a little bit now, I do a little bit tomorrow. I just did more in 2 days than I did 3 days before, right? So now, you know, I'm building on something. That's why I always talk about I'm building my business. It is not that I am going out and making transactions. It is I've got a foundation laid, I've got structure, I've got framework in which it's going to be presented to the world. And within that is a lot of different projects, but each of them require, well, I've got the foundation, so now it's just interior decorating is all the extras. But you have to have all that, right? And that's what we're talking about with these principles. Lay that foundation so that no matter what happens, it's the, heard it last night on America's Got Talent, Howie Mandel said it. It's not how often you get knocked down, it's how often you get back up. It's that reminder I had yesterday. If you have that foundation of these principles, you're able to come back. I believe that only because I was able to come back out of that survival mode. And I use these principles by bringing in other people. If you guys didn't do it, I would have gone someplace else. Somebody's going to get me out of this. And I'd used these principles all these years in my personal life and in some other areas, not many, intentionally. I just didn't call them success principles.
Yeah, it is cumulative, because I look back in, I guess, 30 years when I first started really working and learning about these principles. And it's cumulative. When I learned about positive mental attitude, I practice it. And
that's it. We practice it, right? We practice it. So a little bit every day. I love what you said. It's a little bit every day.
I don't think I'd be up here talking about this stuff if I hadn't, put my pennies in 15 years ago on positive mental attitude, put my pennies in on understanding how a definite chief aim works, put my pennies in on following, my purpose, my chief purpose. And so over the years, I put in a penny here, a penny there, a nickel there on, focusing my energy, a penny there on learning how to be confident. And here it is. I'm 44 years old. I've got these piggy banks, I guess, if you will, of different principles.
You're making deposits. That's another way to look at it. You're making deposits into something. It's like I've heard people say, I'm making deposits into relationships by spending time, by, lending an ear, by paying attention. I'm putting it, that's currency. Is how some people look at it. Yeah, we've got Cindy, this weekend I noticed how far I've come when I was with a person who you thought was fairly positive. Everything came out of her mouth was negative, especially when it was about her health or about the people related to medical issues. Even when I brought it to her attention, she is going against the spiritual principles we both subscribe to. She knocked that down. And that's what I'm talking about. She is so caught up in it. She actually thinks that she's doing well. She thinks she's doing what she should be doing and doesn't see how it's not working for her. All right, Rashim, I'd love to have you in here, but it's not working, so I'm going to kick you out so you can try again.
Try again. More discussion. I always like to get different perspectives on something. I know.
I love it.
With the principle.
And I've only got a few minutes, right? I've only got a few minutes because I have that professional meeting that begins at the top of the hour.
Yes, yeah. Okay, well, yeah, I'll try and make it my point quick then. I mean, basically getting different perspectives, getting different feedback, even, doing a self-inventory from different perspectives of myself, like you're saying. Sometimes I'll look and say, hey, what am I doing good at? Where can I pat myself on the back, give myself a charge and invigoration? And other times it's like, where can I improve? Let me look for the lack areas now. So just changing my own idea of what I'm looking for can help change my perspective. And, having other people, not everyone's going to be a Charlene, not everyone's going to be an Aaron, and we're going to see the same thing differently. And to really get a deep inventory, to really get a deeper understanding of where you are.
And there's the key. Beautiful. You beautifully said. It's where you are, not where I am.
Yeah, it's where you are. And so if I can get a Charlene input to tell me this is how I see it, if I can get Christian to come from over here and show me how he sees it, and I've been looking at it from here, from the inside out, now I have two totally new perspectives. I can even get a third perspective. And this is how I understand myself, because I'm not looking at myself. I'm having you look at, I'm having him, I'm having her, I'm having them look at me and say what they see. So it can be a little bit scary because you might get some things you don't want to hear, but you're going to get, it may not even be honest like you think, but it is honest for them. It's a different perspective. That'll help you understand self.
Love that. Well said. I was going to throw out, Betsy said, where do I find a millionaire to hang out with? I want to know some millionaires. Go where they go. Seriously, go where they go. You can go where it's obvious. You can go to like a yacht club, or you can go to maybe a country club of some sort, or a golf club. Oftentimes, the reason that they gather in those places, quite honestly, is so they don't have to hear jerks talk about how awful it is you have that much money. They go with like-minded people, and they don't talk about money, by the way, just so you know. They talk about what interests them. You can go to your local charity, and you can see who's volunteering, and quite honestly, one or two of them will be quite wealthy. You can attend charitable events, and you will meet those who are wealthy and have been big donors because they care. But you don't talk about money, and that's the key. Just so you know, right? Just so you know, you'll never really know if they're a millionaire because they won't talk about it.
I know a couple millionaires.
You can also look next door, because it's quite possible the person next door to you or in your neighborhood is a millionaire, but they don't talk about their money. That's not what's important to them.
You really can't tell. You really can't.
You really can't. And I mean, story after story. I don't know in your neighborhoods, but we had a story here where a little itty bitty little farm town, less than 300 people. An old couple died within a year of each other, and the millions that they had saved and invested started a foundation for the community.
That's awesome.
Who knew? Did they dress like this? They went to town. They did all the things people do because they're people.
They did people things. They ate. They went out.
They did people things because they're people. Yes.
Yeah, I don't like when people judge on appearance, and I know that a lot of times people.
Well, you almost have to. And then you have Betsy, who's in her double T and double tank in the garage. We were talking about judging people on appearances.
Oh yeah, I have the same shirt I had on yesterday. I think I just grabbed what I could see.
What do I know? What do I know? Nothing.
5 this morning. Anyway, hi. I'm just kidding about the millionaire. Although it would be nice. I wish it was a relative. Somebody the other day was talking about, some millionaire relative, blah blah. I'm like, well, why don't I have one of those? Hello, I probably do, and I don't know it.
It could be. It could be. But again, most of them don't talk about their money.
I know.
Those that do, you don't want to stick around with anyway, do you?
No, I just need
all they have to offer.
A little bit.
Well, do you want the money, or do you want the incentive that says there's somebody who did it?
I want the money. No, I'm just kidding.
Fair enough.
Honest, I like it. it.
No, but I get to create it. I know. I get to create the money. I'm working on it. It's just, it's not fast.
Well, I can tell you this. It is helpful to be around wealthy people to watch them in action. It really is.
Yeah.
If you have an idea of how wealthy people are, and because you've never been around them, preconceived ideas, to find yourself amongst them can be very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But the best tactic always is just keep your mouth shut and smile a lot, and you're going to be okay no matter what the situation. So you place yourself in a group, and you realize you're amongst wealthy people. Just keep your mouth shut and just watch. Listen to what they're talking about. Listen to and what you'll hear. This is what you'll hear. You'll hear about the kids. You'll hear about the grandkids. You'll hear about the church. You'll hear about the business. Man, business is rough today. God, those employees, I swear to goodness. Or, I'm so glad I just got that HR gal. Or whatever, right? You will hear about so-and-so's friend and the time they spent. Hey, it's so good to see you. It's been a month or two. Ignore the fact that they just talked about going on the yacht and listen to the memories that they created with their friends. And when you do that, you realize they're people. They're people. And all you are looking at is what Erin said, is the outside, what they appear to be. And then when that starts happening is when you realize that you can easily fit amongst them and be inspired and motivated by how they act and how they do things to get what they have, if that's what you want. I'm just putting it out there because I see it too often. People putting themselves, wait a minute, well, if you want, if you want the money, you can get the money from other people. There's also that, get investors and everything else. That's a totally different mindset than what we were just talking about.
I always talk about the law of attraction too. I mean, if you want to attract those kind of people, you want to start aligning your behaviors, your activities,
That's it.
Dress. I mean, I could see what, if they're millionaire fishermen, they're all fishermen, they love to fish, and I show up in a suit and tie going, oh, I'm a millionaire. I ain't going to fit in with those guys, and if they're all, business tycoon types and I show up in coveralls, I'm not going to fit in. But if they're all millionaire farmers and I show up in jeans and a flannel shirt.
And there are millionaire farmers.
Dirty, covered in dirt, lifting, dealing with horses and stuff, they'll be like, yeah, okay, this guy we like. And then I become that which I want to attract. If I want to attract these suited people, well, maybe I should wear some suits. If I want to attract these, great fishermen of the boats with great ocean knowledge, and I'm going to show up with fishing boots on and a fishing hat.
That's it.
And so you become what you want to attract. Like you're saying, okay, it'd be great to be around millionaires. Well, you have to start, acknowledge, take this self-inventory. Where do I have some strengths that are already?
What 17 principles are you putting in your life now? Right?
I just
so that you get towards your own goal, but also look at what you're going to be attracting by putting these principles in your life. Yeah, now you're not going to attract the jerky rich guy or gal. You're going to attract the really nice.
That's the key. As a matter of fact, that's what I've been working on with myself is, repeating that, yes, I am attracting the clients, the customers, the people I want in my life that want what I have to offer. So I've actually been doing that.
You're getting there.
I'm getting
there. But as Aaron told us, though, it's a little bit each day.
Right.
Because we want long-term success within ourselves and the outward of whatever it is we're looking at, whatever we consider to be success. Looking long-term. That's why we're willing to sit here every morning and talk about principles. Am I right? Come on, think about that. Otherwise, we're not in it for the long haul. We can handle it for about 10 minutes and we're gone. You don't have the answer. I'm looking for the magic button. Well, go rob a bank. Deal with consequences of that, but go rob a bank or go to the casino and hope like heck.
The magic button's there, Charlene. You just have to get up every day and press it. Every day. Every day. You can't get up, press it once and be like, it's done. Oh, this button's going to be there. You're going to wake up tomorrow. It's going to be there when you get home. It's going to be there after breakfast. Go over there, press the magic button, and you'll make that much progress. Go press it again. You'll make that much more progress. Go and press it again. A little more progress.
You got it. All right. So I just put a link into the chat area, and that's to a website that has the remainder of this week's scheduled blabs. I'll be doing it again next week, where I'll just put up every time when I schedule out the week's blabs, I'll put the link in there, so you don't have to try to find this during the blab implosion, whatever's happening with blab. Don't rely on blab.
I'm trying my show again today. We'll see what happens.
So feel free to go there and get the links and put them in your calendar, and that way, here's an organized way to do it. Just put them in your calendar, and that way you don't have to worry about it, right? Every weekday morning at 8 a.m. I do have to close this down because I have a professional networking meeting that begins at the top of the hour. Those of you who are a professional, hold on, I just erased my link. Those of you who are looking to connect with other professionals in business, whether they be small business owners, solo business owners, or other professionals, join us at 9 a.m. Today's presentation is about 3 steps to making your home-based business more profitable. And the presenter is a long-term, 25-year veteran of working from the house, from the home office, doing a variety of things. And she knows her stuff. So I encourage you to join us there. Afterwards, we'll be introducing each other to each other, connecting, learning more about each other, and then we're free for the day. So thank you too for joining me, Erin and Betsy, in the live stream. Thank you, those in the chat area, for your contributions and your conversations going on in the chat. Though I didn't bring them to the recording, it was interesting seeing the conversations happening. I love that because discussion is happening, which means we're all here doing what we're supposed to be doing, which is contemplating, ruminating, discerning, discussing. How can we be better? And sharing some bit of our experience. Those who've just been watching, thanks. Appreciate that. And those watching the replay, fantastic. Thanks for sticking with us this long. This is Charlene Burke with Grow Because You Know. That's www.growbecauseyouknow.com. Let's move forward with the day on purpose, with purpose, to grow our hearts, grow our minds, grow our businesses. Until next time, have a great day.